All right, what is up? We are live. Tyler Reddick wins. I don't know how many people had that one picked, but we knew it would be a driver probably that we didn't expect. Not necessarily a long shot by any stretch of the imagination, but I don't know how many people had him marked down as the winner. But we do have a poll question up before we jump into the results and talk about everything that happened in this race. What was your biggest issue with today's race? The commercials, the camera work, the fuel mileage strategy, or your favorite driver wrecking? Right now, 50-50 commercials and your favorite driver wrecking with two votes, 3 minutes in. So we will leave that one up there for everybody to sort of look at and go over. But let's go over the race itself. I have not looked at the finishing order yet. As I left where I was watching the race at, I made sure I didn't look at the finishing order until I got here because I wanted to do it live. But let's look at the stage points. Austin Cindric got the most stage points. He won stage one, finished second in stage two, so 19 stage points overall for him. Joey Logano got 10 stage points, and Chase Elliott's ended up with, I think, about 12 stage points. But Austin Cindric, first stage, Chase Elliott, William Byron, Ryan Blaney, Kyle Busch, Harrison Burton, Christopher Bell, Brad Keselowski, Tyler Reddick, Alex Bowman are your stage points people there. And then in stage two, it was Logano, Cindric, Larson, Austin Dillon, Ross Chastain, Tyler Reddick, Chris Buescher, Chase Elliott, Ryan Preece, and Tyler Gibbs. And then live, for me at least, seeing the final finishing order, Tyler Reddick wins the race. Brad Keselowski is second. Third place is going to be Noah Gregson. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. out of nowhere with the Thomas English Muffins or Bagels 47 Chevrolet for JTG Doherty Racing finishes fourth. Alex Bowman finishes in fifth place. So your highest finishing Hendrick driver today, the man that's always on the hot seat, Alex Bowman. Anthony Alfredo with a nice sixth place finish there for the Beard team. William Byron ends up in seventh place. Todd Gilliland is in eighth place. Daniel Hemrick in ninth place. He had a good run all day today, actually. Daniel Hemrick was at the front several times today. And how about that? Harrison Burton finishes in 10th place. He definitely needed a good finish, and he got one today. So Harrison Burton in 10th place. Martin Truex Jr. 11th. Chase Briscoe 12th. Ross Chastain, saw him wrecking at the end for sure. So we're definitely in the cars that we're wrecking for sure at this point. So Ross Chastain in 13th. Ryan Preece 14th. He needed a good run too. So that 14th, a good run for him. Chase Elliott in 15th. Josh Berry 16th. His car was completely destroyed. He was up on the wall. Then here's the interesting one. Carson Hocevar finishes right in front of his teammate Corey LaJoy in 17th and LaJoy in 18th. Corey LaJoy, of course, was sideways riding the wall to the end of this one. So Corey LaJoy ends the race in 18th on his side, wall riding, but not like Ross Chastain did to the finish. I thought that was outlawed. Is that going to be an outlawed finish because Corey LaJoy rode the wall to the finish? Is NASCAR going to enforce its rule? I'm just playing, but it is, I guess, technically a legitimate question to ask. Will somebody protest Corey LaJoy riding the wall to the finish? Joey Logano finishes 19th. Ryan Blaney finishes 20th. Kyle Larson finishes 21st. Ty Gibbs in 22nd. Austin Cindric 23rd. So those stage points are definitely going to come in handy there because that's gonna bump him up by 19, technically 19 spots overall for the race if you play it that way. So a good thing you got those stage points there. Cody Ware 24th, Chris Buescher 25th, Kyle Busch 26th, Daniel Suarez 27th, Shane Van Gisbergen in his first super speedway race in the Cup Series 28th, Zane Smith 29th, Austin Dillon 30th. Michael McDowell leading the race at the end, but through that late block, which caused all this, 31st. BJ McLeod, get loud for McLeod. Unfortunately, had a good start to the day, but couldn't keep it going. 32nd. John Hunter Nemechek, 33rd. Justin Haley, 34th. Eric Jones, 35th. Bubba Wallace, 36th. Denny Hamlin, 37th. Christopher Bell, 38th. So, yeah, bad day for Toyota. Christopher Bell took himself out early, but the rest of these Toyotas were in the same wreck here, unfortunately. So that was probably the other big story of the race. And let me refresh J-Ski just to see if the points have been updated yet. As of yet, the points have not been updated, but we will check back later to see where the points are at. So we'll just jump into it and see what all that you guys want to talk about real quick. See here. What's up in between the lanes? Good to see you on here. Another week without Ford in victory lane, but Joey seen his first stage win in 2024. So, yeah, Ford was in a good position to win. They didn't end up getting the win, but I think without question they had the fastest cars. At least looking at it from TV, they had the fastest cars. I didn't check lap times and all that because they're kind of misleading at a super speedway. Whoever's behind you can have a faster lap time because they're drafting up to you. But the Ford cars overall looked like they had a better handle on this race, but couldn't get it done. So yeah, they didn't punch through, but definitely had the faster cars today, and they keep gaining on it. Ford will break through and get a win here before it's too long. Brad was oh so close to snapping that 107 race winless streak. Your opinion on that John Hunter Nemechek 23-43 car wreck, BD? What happened? They just got too aggressive with the pushes. The 23 said he was pushed into the 43. That was from his. If you were on the Discord, you saw that. But he said Freddie Kraft, I guess, was asking him, and he said he got pushed into him. Which if he got pushed into him, he's saying John Hunter Nemechek pushed him into the 43. So, like I said, I don't think it was really anybody's fault so much as they were just overly aggressive with the draft in there, trying to get as much as they could. I thought the strategy there from Toyota was really good. Really good strategy. Just they got way too aggressive with the pushes, and it cost them. They ended up wrecking out some of their better cars. But overall for Toyota, it works out because Ford got over aggressive themselves at the very end of the race, and Tyler Reddick never lifted and came through with the victory for Toyota. So good on him, and good on Martin Truex Jr. for sticking with him and pushing him for at least most of that. There was the third line developing, and Ty Gibbs jumped out and blocked that and slowed that whole lane down. So I don't know if he was trying to go for the win or if his intentions were to just slow that lane down, if he was being a good teammate there or whatever. But that definitely cost the 54 his opportunity to win the race. So it was just interesting to see how this race played out at the end. Chrome Diesel, what's up, my friend? What'd you think of the Corvette late model pick I sent you? I've seen a bunch of like a lot of people slap Corvette stickers. Like I was saying, Cadillac stickers, Corvette stickers. There's a guy up in Northern Virginia that slaps a Ferrari on his. Not gonna not necessarily mention his name because I'm not a super huge fan. A moment of silence for those who used fuel for fuel saving as your drinking word, says Cody Ledger. For sure, they wore that term out for sure. Watching fuel saving while going 20 miles per hour slower makes me sad. Went to watching IndyCar race while couples racing is a three wide train racing, says Chrome Diesel. So yeah, for sure, which plays into the poll question in case I haven't brought it up. Biggest issue with today's race: the commercials, the camera work, the fuel mileage strategy, or your favorite driver wrecked. Right now, 31% saying their favorite driver wrecked was the biggest problem. 24% for fuel mileage strategy, commercials 28%, camera work 17%. We got us a good poll question here. It is far from decided, so get your vote in if you would like to on that. Keselowski was so close to that W, says OJ and Toothpaste. I'm telling you, man, you can't get much closer to a win than that. That is for sure. This might be the hardest poll I've ever come across, says JFP. Good. For once. A rare moment of quality. I have asked a good poll question. It is rare, so enjoy it. It probably won't happen again this year. But there you go. Let's see. Look to me, Jesse Love had the left sides below while advancing his position when he took out the 48 and the 11. Says Brindley Nicholson. I have no idea. I have no idea. I just was watching. I just sort of was watching that race just to watch it, so I didn't really pay attention to any of that. But I guess he didn't get called for it, so NASCAR didn't feel that way. But if he did get called for it, I'm pretty sure his excuse would be he was avoiding a wreck. And that would probably play out there. I don't know. How anyone can say this was a positive race must be smoking the devil's lettuce. 20 laps of hard racing doesn't make a race worth watching for 3+ hours. Yeah, it was a good finish, but just because there was so much fuel mileage strategy and stuff like that, engineers ruin races. Like don't ruin racing. So don't get me started about that. But yeah, and you can't put that genie back in the bottle. But yeah. Stages play into that fuel mileage thing too. So all the stage lovers, I just know that your fuel mileage stuff is also because of the stages. But yeah, it's kind of rough to watch. The other thing that plays into it is guys don't test it. Like there should be one group of people that are like, we're not worried about fuel mileage. We're just going to go hard and put you to a decision for not going hard. So that plays into it too. Bad Brad Keselowski with the black eye. I don't know if it was the black eye, but he had eye black probably for the sunlight glare. I don't think he had an actual black eye, but I don't know. BB, you should wear a mink coat with some dope Oakley shades on a stream soon. Says OJ and toothpaste. I might do that one day. I might do that one day. One day when I get a mink coat or a fake mink coat. Hey, Scott Dixon won the Long Beach Grand Prix after pulling a great fuel mileage saving strategy for sure. He had to battle off two or three cars that were absolutely charging. I didn't watch any of the race. I'm just reading what a couple people wrote on there. So yeah, he held on, and we are Scott Dixon fans, so it's a good day for everybody on the Baloney stream here. Yeah, Mark, them riding out around at 170, 175 in stage two was ridiculous. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You should put them to the test, and that's actually before Toyota completely screwed up their strategy. That's exactly what Toyota was doing, and I loved every minute of seeing it because Toyota pitted early and they all were running together and they were running way faster than the leaders. They made the leaders have to start running faster to put them at a decision on the fuel mileage stuff. And it was going to be really interesting until, well, they wrecked each other. So if they hadn't wrecked each other, it would have been nice to see how that played out. But they got way too aggressive with their pushes. Howdy from the Great White North. What's up, Robin Marks? What's up, Canada? My driver wrecked. I was watching his in car. He pushed Noah to that good finish. As for the rest, censored Yosemite Sam, dag nabbit, says Robin Marks. Actually watched the Clippers win, then the last 25 laps. All you need to watch at Talladega. I mean, yeah, it's not necessarily, I'm not going to necessarily disagree with you on that one. Congrats to all the Clippers fans out there. Perfect timing. Just laid down the baby. Hope Corey LaJoy brought a second pair of underwear today. Says Seikau. Yeah, without a question. Without question. Does he get a penalty for wall riding? Like they claimed they're gonna give people for wall riding after the Ross Chastain incident. SVG. Awesome to see MJ get the win. Says Krusty. Yeah, and he actually gave an interview in Victory Lane, which is even rare. He was holding up Tyler Reddick's baby, so he was doing all kinds of politic in there. But yeah, a rare interview from Jordan, and it was genuine too. Like you heard the emotion from him. Like he was so excited and so happy for this race. I thought it was a good interview. You got to see real Michael Jordan as opposed to the manufactured image of Michael Jordan. So that's always a cool thing to see. SVG made up that third lane toward the end of the race. Yeah, that was awesome to see. And then unfortunately, Tyler Gibbs got up there and blocked him. Why do I keep calling him? His name is Tyler, but Ty Gibbs got up there and blocked him. And didn't have the speed that they had, so that lane had to check up, and that's what caused Kyle Busch and SVG, all the rest of those Chevrolets in that line. That's how they got pushed back on that deal, and that's why a lot of your good Chevrolet drivers were in that big wreck at the end as well. BB, will you get that 45 diecast win? Says OJ and Toothpaste. No, I'm good. I got the first Jordan 45 diecast win, and I think that car with the elephant print on it looks better than. Looks better, or they call it cement, I guess. It's supposed to. I think it was supposed to mimic elephant skin back in the day, but it's called cement now. I think is what the sneakerheads call it. I think that car looks better. This car today looked really good, but I still think the Kurt Busch car looked better. Gibbs killed the third lane. He didn't get it. He doesn't get us, says Mark Barnum. Not a fan of all the off throttle racing, says Tim Brace. Yep, that's what I'm saying. You gotta. You got to get in there with a group of people. And that's what I said about Toyota. You have to get in there with a group of people and actually make them make a decision. You can't let them run half throttle. Put them at a decision if you're not on that strategy. BB, did you win that over under on the Wendy's commercial or me? LOL says, I don't know. It's hard to say because I don't know. They had the built-in commercials during the actual race itself, so I don't know. It's hard to call, but it's. I think we hit the over on that one. I'm pretty sure we hit the over on that one. Cup cars need a smaller fuel cell, says Chrome Diesel, or a bigger one way or the other. I mean, it was inevitable for that yellow car. He did one block too many. Yeah, for sure. Michael McDowell even said that. He said, I was just a little bit too late on that last block, or wear a tuxedo. LOL, says OJ and Toothpaste. Ross Chastain robbed again, says Quattro. For sure. Old Ross, he actually had a fast car, but yeah, at the end, he was caught up in that wreck. Quattro wants the violence investigated on that last caution. LOL. Let's see. Commercials, camera work, and fuel savings ruined this race. Says Benny B. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's in a rare moment of quality for the channel. I actually asked a good poll question. Commercials, camera work, fuel mileage strategy, or your favorite driver wrecked. What was the biggest issue with today's race? Not a fan of fuel saving, but I guess that's where we're at with the super speedways now. Yeah, for sure. BB, you think Eric Jones will be okay after that hard hit? He said he's okay now, but it's one of those things, man. It's always like the next day. Like if you ever play a combat sport or anything like that, football or anything like that, sometimes the next day when you wake up, you're like, so hopefully he does get it checked out. Z200 is saying Thunder Up. So he is a Oklahoma City Thunder fan. Harrison Burton with a top 10 says Timber Ace. Yeah, Harrison Burton with that top 10 was awesome. He definitely needed that momentum. Awesome for the Wood Brothers too. If he could finish 9 spots higher than that, man, and the Wood Brothers get another win, that would be super good. I think that'd be a super great story. Going full screen commercial with 5 laps before stage 2 it was ending was atrocious, says Chrome Diesel. I 100% agree with you. That was one of the worst things that they did pretty much all race. BB rate this race 1 to 10. I give it a 5, probably a 5. I would have rated it lower than that, but you did get a good finish. Chevy never works together. It says Roy. Uh, they stopped working together because I think they got tired of it. But yeah, I would say other than Hendrick, Chevy is kind of all on their own strategies. They don't. I feel like it's kind of like if you're a Chevy team, you don't want to work with Hendrick because you're tired of seeing them winning. From 2009, what was your reaction? Says OJ and Toothpaste. I thought it was a great finish. I remember Bob Kieslowski basically being super hot at Carl Edwards. So I think that been a different finish, but I remember Bob Keselowski was ready to get in the car and even the score with Carl Edwards. Most frustrated I've been in a good minute after a race as elite. Yeah, like I said, what do you want to pick from? What do you want to pick from on what was frustrating about this race? Because there was a lot of things for sure. What little of the race we got to see in between commercials. I hate that our race ruined all of Fox's commercials there, but yeah, the camera work was bad. The fuel mileage strategy irritated a lot of people. I can't say too much about the fuel mileage strategy because that is part of racing. But your favorite driver being wrecked, the camera work and commercials, they definitely have to be up there. And a lot of people, fuel mileage strategy, they hate that type of racing. So it's sort of like it rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. There was a lot. I feel like the vast majority of people didn't like that race until the very end. Now the ending is going to save it for some people, but I'm not. I'm remembering the whole race in its entirety. That's why I'm giving it a 50%. The ending saved it to get it a 50% for me. But I'm not going above 50 on it. Current Cup car has a 20-gallon fuel cell. Might as well drop it back to 18 gallons, says Chrome Diesel. Do we know if Ross Chastain declined to comment? Brett Griffin was wondering, says in between the lanes, wondering if Ross Chastain's going to comment. Is Ross Chastain, Brett Griffin's not even a driver, doesn't even work full time in Cup. Ross Chastain is inside Brett Griffin's head. Like, that's so sad. Ross Chastain, no comments one time. And now Brett Griffin, it's all he can think about. It's all he can talk about to stir up drama. Pretty hilarious. I wonder if has Brett Griffin blocked Ross Chastain on Twitter yet? Drive a Prius to save fuel. This is racing, says Benny B. So there you go. We'll see. What you need to do is have another group of cars, and Toyota was doing this before they wrecked each other. Have another group of cars line up and push the fuel mileage strategy. Like, we're going to go fast. You guys can save fuel if you want to. That's what needs to happen. And Toyota was doing that, but they ended up wrecking themselves and ruined that strategy. The only time you should ever go to commercial with 10 to go is in a stage, is like Road America or something. That stage is 2 break was asinine, says Say Kyle. I agree 100%. Brad has given fair warning. Please don't block me on the last lap, says Rick Lane. Yeah, I agree. But what are you going to do? Just give him the win? So I understand it from McDowell's perspective, and I understand it 100% from Keselowski's perspective as well. It's just it's super speedway racing. Chrome Diesel saying, what's up to Elite? What up, Chrome? Says Elite. You do what it takes to win the race, says Larry. I agree with you 100%. That's 100% what you got to do. Keselowski almost had it. Like the old fishing commercial. Was that a Geico commercial? Oh, you almost had it. It sucks though, man. I hate it for Keselowski. Good win for Tyler Reddick. I don't hate it that he won, but I hate it that Keselowski is still on a winless streak. Austin Dillon was up near the front early on, says in between lanes. Yeah. RCR had good cars, but I think they were up there. I know Kyle Busch was. I think they were both up there in that third lane when Ty Gibbs jumped up there, and unfortunately, it didn't work out when he jumped up there. So, yeah, I don't know. The biggest issue with Fox NBC is that the same producers run all of their sports, which is fine. But for NASCAR, it is almost more difficult from a broadcast perspective for a non-fan, says KM. What do you think the penalties will be for Larson and his team? I think they served all the penalties they're going to serve for sure. MRN and PRN are actual race fans, and it makes all the difference. This KM, yeah, without a doubt, without a doubt, you can feel it come through. And don't get me wrong, there can be somebody who's not necessarily a NASCAR fan, but they get the job as being a NASCAR commentator, and they do their work and they get better and better. You see that all the time. Like Eli Gold is a good example. Eli Gold was a hockey guy, but he came in and he did his due diligence. He put his work in and he got it going. And he figured it out. And he was one of the, to this day, he's still one of the ones that people talk about all the time as one of the best commentators. Commercials made the race unwatchable for me. Fox is horrible. Tired of them showing Bubba Wallace and pandering, says Roy. I didn't see all that, but I know the camera work was irritating. Mr. Pearson saying, what's up, Mr. Pearson? Today's race doesn't leave a smile. Was pretty annoyed with the broadcast, the fuel saving and propaganda commercials that feature little to no NASCAR drivers. Says Chrome Diesel. I think all commercials are technically propaganda. I'd think. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't really pay attention to stuff like that. So I'm not going to get political today because I never do. NASCAR knows how far the teams can go on fuel. If they go for 47 laps, make the stages 45, make it where they can go all out since pitting makes no sense, and lock positions at the stage breaks. Or just don't have stage breaks. Just let the stages keep running. Like whoever's running wherever they're running on that lap, and just keep it running. You don't need a caution for the stage to end. Fuel mileage don't work with stage breaks. Says Mark Barnum. MJ should drive for the zero ace car at the Coca-Cola 600. Says Jamie Schweitzer. Race was a 3 out of 10 for me. Says Roy. I know the focus has been on the short tracks and road courses in terms of fixing the racing, but we need to include super speedways in that as well. Too much drag on these cars. Yeah. I mean, there's always something they can fix. I would say the short track package has to have focus until they fix that. Today's race was only bad because of the fuel mileage stuff. So I think you could change the fuel cell easily. Would put an end to that, or like I said, just get rid of the stage cautions. I think that would do the same thing. So because you could just have super speedway races where you have stages but no stage cautions. I think that would do it. There's all kinds of things you could do to get rid of the terrible slowing down to save fuel stuff that they're doing. I like Michael McDowell and Brad Keselowski, so I hated the ending. Says Walter Flair. BB, what's the worst Talladega wreck you ever saw? Probably Rusty Wallace. I think it was at Talladega. It might have been Pocono though, but Rusty Wallace flipping. Which one was? I can't remember if Ryan Priest was Talladega or Daytona. I don't know. Just name one. I've seen a lot of bad ones. I don't know. Let's see. Brad stopped another Ford from winning, says Duke Chronic. I would say Michael McDowell threw the late block there, so I don't know about all that. I saw it and Michael McDowell saw it the same way too. He said he blocked late, so I don't know about that one. To add salt to the injury, they ran stage breaks longer than the Xfinity race yesterday, says Chrome Diesel. Yeah, they could, if you know a stage break is coming, you'd think they could be way tighter on that. So if you know one's coming, it should never take more than, especially at Talladega, 2 or 3 laps. Would love to see NASCAR institute a minimum lap time for Daytona, says Bruce Garvey. Brad is a crab in a bucket, says Duke Chronic. BB, have the point standings been updated? They had not been updated just a minute ago, but let me go check again. According to Jayski, they're still not up, so I will check back here in just a few minutes. I had Bubba and Denny in my lineup. Didn't help that both were involved in wrecks, but that's super speedway racing. I put Brad in the garage and replaced him with Joey Logano in my fantasy lineup, says in between the lanes. So yeah, for sure. It's super speedway races they were always the hardest to pick for fantasy. I always just threw a random collection of guys in there. Lipe saying not Ty Gibbs. That he jumped in the front and killed the third roll. That was Daniel Hemrick, says Lipe. And there's the merch store dropped by One Wise Guy, and the Discord link if you want to check either one of those out. NASCAR can fix fuel saving with an average running position. Drivers can't just ride, says Duke Chronic. I like how Hamlin said what they did the first half of the race wasn't racing. Merch link and the Discord, as One Wise Guy just saying what he just posted up there. Quote the broadcast, Harvick letting Boyer know he hasn't driven this next gen car at whatever track we are racing at. in between the lanes. BB, what's the best twisted tea flavor? I have no idea. I think I've had the original maybe one time, but that's about it. The way to kill fuel mileage is to make 4 tire pit stops mandatory, says Lipe. Uh, maybe, maybe. Maybe I'm a sadist, but I want to see the cars have to make at least one stop each stage, says Say Kyle. I mean, really, to me, just get rid of the stage cautions. That's the answer to me. I think everything else is trying to dress it up for having stages. So to me, the stages are the issue. But that's just my opinion. Let's see. So Harvick said if Ford didn't win, it could be considered a failure. Would you consider Ford's season a failure? I do not, says one wise guy. I don't think so. I don't think so. I think they've had cars fast enough to win. They've just had certain circumstances not play out for them. Easily, they could have won all the restrictor plate races this year. So I mean, including Texas, so or Atlanta. I mean, yeah, I don't think it's not as bad as they're making it out to be. But we the mainstream media has to have to talk about. So that's the new thing. They'll be talking about Brad's winless streak, and they'll be talking about the fuel mileage strategy. They'll talk about everything but Fox's commercials that is mentioned on this list. They'll talk about the big one. They'll talk about fuel mileage. They won't talk about the camera work, and they won't talk about the commercials. So they won't. They will talk about two of the things people disliked. NASCAR missed a big opportunity with this new media bill. NASCAR should have produced the broadcast and sell the rights to air different networks. Fox does a horrible job and it hurts NASCAR viewership, says KM. That seems to be what a lot of people think. And I can't say that I necessarily disagree. My only disagreement would be I don't think NBC does like this dramatically better job either. I think their camera work is slightly better, but that's about it. Glad 3 of the Hendrick cars got some points, says Roy. Will Ty win a cup race this year? I wouldn't be surprised. He is pretty good. I think he's going to win a cup race for sure. For sure. If there are no stage breaks, I'm sure fuel saving would still be there, but it would add challenge to a minority of the drivers saying, screw it, I'm going 100% to lap those fuel savers. That's what I'm saying. You got to get a group of guys that just talk about it before the race and say, hey, we're not saving fuel. Just get behind me and we're going to go at the beginning of this thing. Because you saw BJ McLeod. That's how he got up front at the beginning. Unfortunately, to the point of saving fuel, he ran out of fuel. And that's actually why he ended up a couple laps down. But if he had had more people going with him and they could break away from those guys saving fuel, I think for sure you could have put them at a decision for sure. Jesse Love should be in there. It should be in the 3 next year. The kid is awesome, says Roy. I think Austin Hill is next up in line, and we'll have to see how they make that particular deal go. BB, will you ever make a Earth 2 Bologna Burger media T-shirt? Says OJ and 2, because I might make a select small run of them. So if you want one, just type Earth 2 in the chat, so we'll gauge it from there to see how many people actually want one. Ty Dillon used to drink twisted tea. At least I'm excited to head down to Dover next Sunday, or maybe it's something I can make it like a pre-order, so everybody that wanted one could get one. Maybe I could work something like that. So I don't know. Congratulations to the 45 team. Just watched a video from 23 years ago where Hearn pushed the 3 to the lead for Earnhardt's final win. Says Aaron Flynn. For sure. I forgot all about that. Was Kenny Wallace actually behind him pushing. So that's pretty cool. Agreed. Just score the drivers at the line for the stages and stay green. Yeah, I think that would help quite a bit. You could also do things with the size of the fuel cell. And several people, Lipe mentioned a few things you could do for fuel saving up in there as well. Like mandatory 4-tire stops and stuff like that. I saw somebody else put that in there. So I think there's several things you could do to fix it. You just have to make it a priority. But right now, I think NASCAR's biggest priority needs to be the short tracks, and then we can worry about saving fuel at super speedways. Because I think at the end of the day, that's in the drivers and teams' hands. They can stop saving fuel and actually race. Actually race. Saving fuel is actually racing. It's just a strategy. But I know a lot of fans don't like watching that, so I understand where you're coming from. Let's see. I'm with you on the stage cautions, but the realist in me knows they won't do it because of Byron's Watkins domination last year at commercial breaks. And don't forget Michael McDowell. Like the rule literally came out for Michael McDowell. So it's the Michael McDowell rule here on the channel. Gillen running up front, and he can definitely drive. BB, who's better in the booth, Harvick or Gordon? Says OJ and Toothpaste. Oh, I don't know. I don't know. Flip a coin. I would say they're probably about the same, which is both are really good. What's worse, fuel saving or tire conservation? Fuel saving by far is worse. By far is worse. Tire conservation, there's actually a lot of skill to that. Fuel saving, you're just as much off throttle time as you possibly can. Imagine telling Earnhardt to go slow and save gas. What a gong show, says Claremont. That's what I'm saying. You got to have drivers in there that'll actually ignore that and work together so that the guys that are saving fuel are put at a decision. BJ McLeod was the only guy not saving fuel, and look what happened. There is strategy when it comes to saving fuel at super speedways. Is it really that much worse than everyone being 100% throttle, says KM? So there you go. To every argument, there are two sides. Bonus points for leading the lap. Watch the fuel burn, says Claremont. Well, yeah, there you go. Like if you added like one bonus point for each lap led, like that would be one thing you could do to change it. Because if you did that, John Hunter Nemechek, even with his horrible day, if he got 1 point for every lap he led, like he actually would be in pretty good shape. BB, will John Hunter Nemechek win the championship this year? Possibly on Earth too. OJ and Toothpaste. Will John Hunter Nemechek finish more races than he doesn't finish this year? That's the real question. Because for all the talent he's got, it is immense. He is in the vein of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. He wrecks a lot of cars. I mean, he wrecks a ton of cars. Let's see if they've updated the points just yet. Which to me begs the question: with all the talent they've got over there in the Toyota development program, a guy like John Hunter Nemechek that goes through a lot of equipment, like he goes through a ton of equipment. Why? And I'm not saying he's got a lot of talent and he's awesome, but Toyota has a lot of guys that have a lot of talent and are awesome that don't wreck a lot of race cars. So it does make me wonder why they bumped up John Hunter Nemechek at this time when they've got other guys that they could have bumped up that are a little easier on equipment. So that's always been something that I kind of wondered about to me, but it might just be a me thing. Did BJ break before he hit the wall? No, he just ran out of gas and then he got really close to the wall because he didn't want to ruin anybody else's day. Is what I took away from his in-car communication. I don't think he broke anything until he hit the wall there for sure. Who are some other? I mean, man, you look at this top. You look at this top 10, dude. Like it's crazy. Like Noah Gregson, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Alex Bowman, Anthony Alfredo, William Byron, Todd Gilliland, Daniel Hemrick, Harrison Burton. I really want to see how this shakes up the points. I wish they would update the points, but they haven't updated them yet. Yeah, they're NASCAR is probably still picking through who actually finished where. So yeah, we'll wait to see an update of the points, and I'll hang out here hopefully until they do that. We'll hang out here a little bit longer to see if they do that. And if he didn't wreck, what do you think his chances were? Says one wise guy. I think all the Toyotas had a really good chance of winning this race, and of course, one did win the race. But yeah, it would have been a much more interesting Toyota versus Ford battle at the end there if the Toyotas hadn't wrecked themselves. Good news is that it's a good batch of tracks coming up. Should put on some good racing for sure. Hopefully the next batch of tracks coming up puts the lameness of this particular track in this particular race behind us. Earth 2, Fox shows 0 commercials. Hamlin wins, and fans cry for more commercials. That's another thing that I actually saw a bunch of. I saw a bunch of people posting if NASCAR had an option, sort of like Major League Baseball, where you could buy a thing where you could watch all the races commercial free. So many people were like, "We don't even care how much it costs; we would pay that price." I think NASCAR, when they negotiate the next TV contract, needs to have an option like that. Because I think NASCAR could make a ton of money doing that if you just had a broadcast with no commercials, even if there was no sound while the cars were just going around while the regular rest of the other broadcasts were at commercial. I think they could make a ton of money doing that because I don't know. Pockers just posted the points. Says say Kyle. So there we go. It should be updated here on J-Ski almost as simultaneously with him. There we go. There is the points. I knew it had to be close. I knew it had to be close. Kyle Larson, still your points leader. He's got 15 points above Martin Truex Jr. Chase Elliott is third. William Byron fourth. Tyler Reddick with the win moves up into fifth. Denny Hamlin is sixth place. Ryan Blaney seventh. Ty Gibbs is eighth. Ross Chastain ninth. Alex Bowman is in 10th. Bubba Wallace in 11th. 12th place is Chase Briscoe. 13th place, Christopher Bell. Bad Brad Keselowski takes that second place finish, and he is now 14th in points. Joey Logano, 15th in points. And Chris Buescher, technically 16th in points, but not really because below him is still Daniel Suarez in 18th. So Chris Buescher would be bumped out as it stands right now, and Daniel Suarez would be in 16th due to his win. So Chris Buescher would be your first man on the outside looking in. And with that wreck there at the end, Kyle Busch, as it stands right now, is out of the playoffs in 17th place, just a little bit over a quarter of the season. I think one race over a quarter of the way through the season. Kyle Busch is out of the playoffs as it stands right now because of that wreck. Then you got Daniel Suarez, who's in 18th because of the win. Austin Cindric, with his stage points, even though he didn't get a great finish, has moved up, I think, 2 spots to 19th. Eric Jones in 20th, and Carson Hocevar takes over the lead for Rookie of the Year in 21st position. So there you go. Let's go down here. Who's run all the races and is in last place in points? Kaz Grala, 34th in points, has run only 9 races, but he is ahead of Zane Smith, who's run all 10. So Zane Smith right now, currently, of all the drivers that have run the most races, in 35th place, is your last place driver in the points. Followed, he's next closest to him is Kaz Grala, then Justin Haley, Harrison Burton, Austin Dillon, Corey LaJoie, Daniel Hemrick, and Josh Berry, all having seasons that they don't want to be having. Noah Gregson's in that mix too, but of course he had the points penalty, so he's in 27th, but the points penalty plays a great deal into that. Ryan Preece, I think, got hit with a points penalty as well. He's somewhere in this mix. I would have heard for Ryan Preece. I think he also got dinged with a points penalty, if I am remembering correctly. Let's see. I was happy to see Eric Jones' interview after his wreck with the Toyotas. It was a hard lick for sure. Hopefully tomorrow he feels he doesn't feel much worse than he feels today, because it's usually the next day. What do you think of BJ's chances were of a good finish without his wreck? I think he could have played it. I think he could have played into a good finish. I think he's gotten a top 10 before, so I think we could have seen another top 10 there. It's going to be the first time I'm going to Dover. Any suggestions with this track? Says whom? No idea. I want to go to Dover. It's on my list. But yeah, definitely. I can't give you any pointers because I've never actually been there for a race. Top 5, all within a race worth of points. Says say Kyle for sure. Kyle Busch not in the top 16, says Jamie Schweitzer. Yeah, that's gonna be a big story for sure. After rewatching the 2011 Aaron's 499, I miss tandem racing. Do you miss tandem racing? The good thing about tandem racing was you didn't have a whole lot of big, huge accidents and stuff like that because it was 2x2. Uh, the bad thing about tandem racing was if you didn't have a teammate, like if you were one of the guys that didn't have a teammate, you were kind of SOL, like because it was rare that somebody would just work with you randomly, unless your name was like Dale Jr. and Tony Stewart or something like that. So it had its moments. It had like here's the thing: we all remember things fondly, but there's a reason that they were gotten rid of, right? So as NASCAR fans, we seem to like something for a little while, and then it irritates us, and we move on to something else. So I can't remember exactly what the deal was with tandem racing while we got rid of it, but it fell out of favor after a while too. As everything, there will be something we're complaining about right now that in a few years we look back and be like, man, I missed it back in the day when it was like that. As crazy as it sounds right now. BB, are you impressed with Kaz Grala and Zane Smith this year? I'm impressed with Kaz Grala. He's not run all the races, but he's not in last place. So I got to give him credit there. So yeah. All right. Looks like we've reached the end of the chat here. So I'm going to call it until the next time. Y'all take them easy and enjoy your Monday. Peace.